I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting to order for Tuesday, October 1, 2024. Roll call, please.
President Kradowski,
Here.
Trustee Paul.
Here.
Trustee Axon.
Here.
Trustee Krieger.
Here.
Member Skivington.
Here.
Member Campbell.
Here.
Member Allen.
Present.
Okay, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women stationed throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Atkinson, seconded by Krieger to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Name.
Motion carried. Number 5, action on the minutes from September 3rd, 2024.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Krieger, second by Atkinson to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda. You must state your name and address. You're limited to 5 minutes. The board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personnel issues cannot be discussed nor individuals named, and the board is not able to take action at this meeting. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on anything not on tonight's agenda? Seeing no public here, and I believe everybody online is with an item, so we're going to move on. Number 7, action items. 7A, consider, discuss, act on a draft ordinance amendment allowing for the use of sheep or goats to clear invasive vegetation. Aaron.
Thank you. The requested ordinance amendment came up as a result of a request from 2 Ashwaubenon residents who
It's not on. There it is.
There we go. The requested amendment came with request of 2 Ashwaubenon residents who own land along the Fox River. There's a vacant parcel that they own. They'd like to clear it out of the invasive buckthorn plant that I guess is pretty extensive in the area. Trustee Service supported the request and therefore it's brought forward to the Plan Commission for consideration. Currently under Section 4-1-5, keeping of livestock and poultry regulated, the keeping or maintaining of goats or sheep is expressly prohibited. This is an outgrowth of typically most urbanizing communities don't want to see livestock being kept in the community in most areas. The rural estate portion of the village is exempted from that regulation. What's being requested again is to bring on the limited keeping of goats or sheep for purposes again of removing invasive vegetation as an alternative to using herbicides, especially along areas like the Fox River, which of course are sensitive to pollution. This has become much more common in other municipalities, not just in Brown County, but across the state and the country, as again an alternative to the use of herbicides for controlling invasive species, whether it's poison ivy, buckthorn, or anything of the like. The draft ordinance as proposed is based off a number of local, statewide ordinances. There are some pretty strict performance standards in place to ensure that this does not become a nuisance to neighbors or a long-term keeping of animals. And there's a required permit process basically to notify the village that yes, they will be keeping goats or sheep on the property, meeting the performance standards, and then we can go out and perform inspections as necessary to ensure the performance standards are being met. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, I've seen it done at a golf course, and the fence was electrified. Just throwing that out if you're gonna keep looking at this. The second one, 30 days, can that be reduced? And/or if you have them there for 30 days, they should not be back for another 30 days, not make a permit, it's gone for a day and then back for another 30 days, gone for, I think it needs some more, results and change it a little bit.
Clarification.
Few things, I understand it's a great idea, it's just, I don't know how many goats you put in there in order to eat whatever, how big this area is in 30 days. But, I can see it get abused, They were there for 30 days, they pull them out, put them back in,
We certainly can put a period of time. You can get a permit for 30 days, but then not reapply for another permit for another 180 days. Typically they talk about 6-month increments. So, that would be perfectly fine.
You're looking at companies doing this, right?
Correct. Yes, there are companies that expressly do this as their business.
It's the business.
Yep.
My first thought was, first it's chickens, now it's another animal, and where does it stop? But after thinking about it, it's nothing new to the community at all. I know the county does it, there's some done in the outlying areas. I think with strict regulations that we're talking about right now, and having a company do it that knows what they're doing and have a time limit on it, I think would be a very good thing without using pesticides that probably hurt the environment. So after considerable thought of chickens, now goats and sheep, I think it'll be an all right deal if we get the right verbiage.
The other usages was you couldn't put some people in there to do this. It was too rocky, too steep, et cetera, et cetera. The goats can handle that where you just wouldn't be able to do it with a guy in there with a weed whacker. It just wasn't gonna happen. So.
Right.
So I guess I'll make the motion to recommend approval of this draft ordinance with the addition of the 180 days between occurrences.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Krieger, a second by Atkinson to recommend approval with the addition of the 180 days in between permit application. My only comment on it is, can it eat up some Phragmites? Because anybody who knows me knows how much I hate Phragmites. But I don't know if they eat Phragmites, but I'll have to find that out. So,
Need dinosaurs.
Need a goat.
so we have a motion and a second. Does everybody understand? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 7B, receive, discuss the draft Village of Ashwaubenon Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 4, Economic Development. Aaron,
Thank you, and I appreciate you not reading my typo that I put in there inadvertently. I'll share my screen here for
I read it a few times and chuckled. It was fun.
I didn't realize it until this morning, and I just had to shake my head. So I will share my screen. There we go. Okay, so this is another draft chapter of the comprehensive plan. This is chapter 4, economic development. So if you'll recall, there are 9 chapters under state statute that each comprehensive plan has to have at a minimum. Economic development being one of those 9 chapters. Just as far as some general background, this does build upon chapter 1. It does have a goal in chapter 1 for economic development to broaden the tax base and strengthen Ashwaubenon's economy and employment base through a mixture of large and small-scale commercial and industrial activity. The chapter does include some detailed background, labor force, and economic base information. Again, to provide that data that should someone be interested in locating in Ashwaubenon, whether it's to grow their business, expand their business, or move their business, they have a resource that they can tap into with the comprehensive plan to provide some of that, again, basic demographic economic information. The chapter really focuses in on what we call economic opportunity areas, which are areas that can be as large as, for instance, the United Street corridor, or could be as small as a few buildings in a rural downtown. In this case, Ashwaubenon is large enough and has enough economic activity, to say the least, that I narrowed it down to really 5 specific areas where I think the main focus of our economic development activity takes place. The Titletown Sports Entertainment District, the Fox Riverfront, the South Oneida Street Commercial Corridor, the Ashwaubenon Industrial and Business Park, and the Packerland Drive and Grant Street area as kind of a future area for economic development. For each of the economic development areas, there are a series of general recommendations for the community, and these are to basically start to take a look at as a punch list of things. When we start to update our strategic plan, we'll start to incorporate these items in there. So in this case, again, there are some very specific and some very general recommendations. I won't read through these because I don't think everyone can read and has read through them. But as we run through these quickly, let's hit a couple of highlights for each one. So I think it's important for us to continue as a village to work with the Packers to see Titletown develop in a way that is consistent with the development plans that are in place. But then also, if things change, how to figure out how to work with them to accommodate that in a way that still maintains the overall vision for the plan and maintains the integrity of the neighborhood to the south of Titletown. We talk about selectively purchasing some key properties in this area. We did have a CDA meeting this morning, and we did talk about a little bit that the CDA is actually basically running out of land that they own. So there might be some opportunities for the CDA to reinvest some of the proceeds from the sales of those land back into this area to foster some additional redevelopment of some buildings and areas that, quite honestly, there are some areas that could still really use some cleaning up. Take a look at a business improvement district for this area. Now, a business improvement district is a area wherein the businesses within that area actually tax themselves, and they run it basically through a board to facilitate improvements to the area, whether that's beautification, programming, whatever it might be. Again, it's not something that's going to happen today, tomorrow, overnight, or next year, but it is something that other municipalities that have a pretty intensive commercial district have utilized as a way to facilitate development and economic growth in those areas. The Fox Riverfront is historically been a rather underutilized amenity here in the village. Our entire eastern boundary, for the most part, goes up against the Fox River. We have seen some pretty dramatic improvements, especially in that south riverfront area along Marina Lane, Marina Circle. As you see with the office building in the photo and Mansell Flats in the background. I think it's important in order to really start to integrate that area into the village. Currently it's there, but it's somewhat isolated from the rest of the village. We need to look at some way to further the, pedestrian as well as vehicle access to that area to really create some linkages between Oneida Street, Holmgren Way, and the riverfront. South Ashland Avenue, of course, is a pretty good barrier. That's problematic for people to cross. I think long-term, we need to work with Brown County, DOT, to figure out some way, how can we get people safely across South Ashland Avenue that are staying in a hotel or that are going to a wedding at Marina Terrace or have their boats at the marina. So again, how do we figure out the way, whether it's through actual physical pedestrian or bicycle improvements, through vehicular improvements, or whether it's through wayfinding such as banners, flags, signage, whatever it might be to, again, create that connection between these two really important parts of the village. Continue to work with the City of Green Bay, City of Pierre, and Brown County to extend the Ashwaubenon River Trail and create an east side partner to the Fox River Trail. I think that is, we're getting real close to seeing that happen, which is going to be a phenomenal loop for residents, but also visitors to the area. To be able to take the Fox River Trail all the way to downtown Green Bay, loop around to the west side and come down the west side then of the river through the village and then back to City of De Pere. There are a few riverfront businesses that really are not river dependent, that really don't benefit from being on the river. Long-term, it's important we work with those businesses to see what their future plans are and figure out a way, is there a location for you that better serves your purposes than on the river? And is there a way for us to facilitate that change? You know, whether that's materials recycling facility with Brown County, industrial user that might be down there. How can we facilitate that so that we can take further advantage of the Fox River? I mentioned, again, working with DOT, Brown County, to improve South Ashland Avenue, not just through the wayfinding, but also just through its appearance. It's cutting the phragmites that Mary is so fond of, making sure litter is cleaned up, especially for the draft coming up. That's something we found when we were in Detroit, that there was a very conscious decision made by the community to clean up these thoroughfares. So when people drive through the city, whether it's a interstate or a arterial like South Ashland Avenue, it was clean. There was no graffiti, no garbage, no weeds. There were planters. It was really a welcoming experience. I think we have a real opportunity with South Ashland Avenue to make that here for the village as well. The South Oneida Street corridor, I think obviously is probably one of the most critical corridors in all of Brown County and northeastern Wisconsin. We've experienced some pretty good redevelopment in that area. Along with the redevelopment, though, we have to make sure that we protect that neighborhood to the west of South Ashland Avenue and north of Cormier, because it is a really important component of what makes Ashwaubenon, but also Lambeau Field unique. So as the area to the east of Oneida Street is redeveloped, we really can't allow that development to encroach into that neighborhood. I don't see that area becoming a commercial area. I don't think that facilitates what we're trying to accomplish as a village as far as maintaining our neighborhoods. Now, that said, I do think that Oneida Street will experience continued redevelopment and probably more dense and taller redevelopment than what we've experienced in the past. We saw that a little bit with that hotel development that was proposed. And I think what you see is those land prices are driving that density and that height. So for us to facilitate redevelopment of those parcels or properties along South Oneida Street, we have to be open to some increased height, increased density. So along with that, I do talk about in the, I forgot to mention, in the Sports Entertainment District, Titletown recommendations to include basically for this area, kind of area north of Cormier, a height study, as well as a parking study, streetscape, and overall landscaping study. The last one was done, I believe that was 2006. It's time for that to be refreshed, and I think it's something we need to take a look at, hiring a consultant to do. I could take this on, but that's outside my wheelhouse. Bay Park Square Mall continues to be an important anchor to South Oneida Street. All four anchors are filled, which in a traditional enclosed mall is saying something for the resiliency of the mall and the popularity of the mall to the residents in the area. I think we got to make sure we maintain communication with Simon Properties and support their efforts and push them once in a while too to make sure that they continue to invest into the mall. Ashwaubenon Industrial and Business Park and some economic development funding and programming. I just grouped these two together because of their size. We should look at a new TID district, new tax income district, in the area of Allied Drive and industrial areas along Parkview and or the southern end of Holmgren Way. And I'll probably loop in the far southern end of South Oneida Street, Wabi Lane there as well. Take a look at that once TID 3 closes as potential location for our next tax increment district to help facilitate some redevelopment in that area. One item that's kind of, I'll be honest, it's a pet peeve of mine, is that a lot of the businesses and people that live along West Main Avenue assume that they live in De Pere. I think it's important that we as a community really reiterate that as soon as you cross Ashwaubenon Creek, you're actually in Ashwaubenon. You may have a De Pere address, but it is the village of Ashwaubenon. I think it's an important point to make. And I do include some economic development funding and programming. Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation has been a great partner of ours. We've been able to access quite a bit of grant funding through them for redevelopment of the Common Place, Alden Station, and Capital Credit Union Park. So we continue to work with them and really focus our economic development efforts on business creation, business retention, and expansion. We can knock ourselves out trying to recruit the next corporate headquarters or the next Amazon location to the village, but the bang for the buck just isn't there. The amount you're giving up in dollars to get them here, or even try to get them here, in my opinion, isn't worth it. You gotta work with the businesses that are here, that have made the investment in the workforce and in their businesses that are here already. So it's really that concept of economic gardening that I'm personally a big fan of, I think we need to focus on. And then also those businesses that help supply chain for those economic development clusters that are here, our paper, our plastics, our food processing, logistics. Work with those businesses also, make sure that they have locations to develop right here in the village. Site planning, pretty basic stuff that we already do. Those of you who are in the site plan review committee do a great job with that. One thing that I think we can do more of is as streets are reconstructed, and I know it's pricey, especially in the Titletown district or the Sports Entertainment district, is work to bury power lines whenever we can, help clean up those sight lines, and again, create a more welcoming area for that area. So again, I ran through it relatively quickly, but hopefully you had a chance to read through it. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them. I do want to reiterate again that nothing is set until the Plan Commission reviews the entire document and Village Board adopts it. So we can make changes up until that point. But if there are any questions right now, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, first of all, Aaron, excellent work. Great job. I mean, it's very comprehensive. I liked a lot of the things in there, especially around the river development, things like that. One question of clarification. I know you kind of had it in there, but I wanted to clarify. You referenced creating a new TID. We really can't do that till 2029, am I correct?
That's right. Yeah, we can't clear the new TID until TID 3 closes.
Okay.
And that'll be 2029. Yeah.
All right, but otherwise, excellent job, Aaron.
Thank
It's
you.
really very, very good. I feel like it was spot on.
Appreciate it.
Can you tell me why none of the medical buildings are in this and the people that they employ considered an economic development?
They certainly are. So I talk about the economic development areas or opportunity areas. Certainly, Bell and Health has been a huge contributor to the village, especially recently. We certainly can, reference them as an important contributor, probably in one of the economic development clusters, if that'd be helpful.
It's like where people come to Ashwaubenon for their medical needs, and how many buildings have gone up recently that are medical buildings?
Yeah, I can try to add something in there to reference not just Bellin, but also our other providers in the community.
Yeah.
Aaron, this community's always been divided in 4 quarters with the system, the road system we have. Does that have a problem in doing your job and creating this program?
I don't think so. Certainly I would, hindsight's always 20/20. I think when 172 was reconstructed, there was an opportunity to create a pedestrian access near Pioneer Park. I think that was probably a missed opportunity. But at the same time, the village has functioned exceptionally well the way it is set up. I think it's incumbent upon the community to make sure that those barriers are more psychological than they are actual.
Okay.
Great job, Aaron. You did a great job on all of these chapters that you've done. We are very fortunate in Ashwaubenon that we have so much growth. What did you say today at the CDA? 200 and
47% or something like
We had,
crazy.
$198 million in new construction, so far this year, and we had 528 million, I think, over the last 4 years.
Yeah. So, anyway, thanks for doing such a great job.
Aaron, what is, with the Highland Ridge development going so crazy, what about the property on the back of Highland Ridge between it and Packerland? That's pretty wide open space too, and I can see that mushrooming also.
So that area, there was a plan done just before I started here with the village called the Southwest Business Park Master Plan, and or Southwest Ashwaubenon Master Plan. And what that did, it kind of took that area, and there's two creeks that kind of flow through that from southwest to northeast. The first creek is up against Highland Ridge. Then there's kind of some high ground between the two creeks, and then it goes over to Packerland. What the plan did was identified, basically, it left the golf course as it was, 'cause no one anticipated that was gonna go away, but that became residential. The area between the two creeks is meant to be residential. And then the area from the westernmost creek west to Packerland is meant to be more of like it's our B4 commerce zone, more like a light industrial business park type zoning district. That was rezoned back in 2017 or 2018. So that's, I think the area's gonna see a lot of potential or pressure when the southern bridge is completed as well. Packerland's gonna become even busier.
Yeah,
It certainly is.
yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Aaron.
You don't need any motion or anything.
Nope, this was just information only. Okay, number 8, do we have night items for next agenda yet?
Not yet, but I am anticipating something to come through.
Okay. So with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
A motion by Skiffington, second by Atkinson to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.